Hello, 6th grade students. It's time for test corrections for Unit 9%. Question number 1. James is taking a test in social studies where he is asked to match the states to their capitals. He matched 6 states incorrectly, and then the question says, what percent of the test did he match incorrectly? So he missed 6 states. That's the part. He missed 6 states. You have to know how many states there are. So you had to know that there are 50 total states. Now you could just hit second percent with your calculator to change that fraction to a percent. Second percent, or you could solve this proportion because percent is out of 100. It says what percent, which means the percent is missing. So you could use cross products. 6 times 100 divided by 50. 6 out of 50 is 12%. The correct answer to number 1 was 12%. Okay, excuse me, I had to get a folder to write on. Question number 2. Mr. Garcia earns 15% of his sales. 15%, which is 15 out of the 100% of his sales. Last week, his sales totaled 152. That totaled is a key word. $852 was the total. The question is, how much money did he earn last week? So here's the question. How much money did he earn last week? Well, he sold $852. His company would never stay in business if they gave all of that money to him. So again, we'd have to use cross products. 852 times 15, then divided by 100. Remember, the question's how much money? So the correct response would be $127.80. You're going to need to put a 0. I did not count that wrong if you did not put a 0, but if it's money, it should have 2 digits. $127.80. Question 3. Mr. Phillips' 7th grade class collected data on the months of their classmates' birthday. So it has quarter, January through March, and then it has number of birthdays. This would be 8 birthdays, 2 birthdays, 12 birthdays, and again 8. The question is what percent? So I don't know the percent. What percent of the students had birthdays between July and September? So we need to use the 12 because there's 12 students that had their birthdays. I think a key on some students missing this is the bottom number is the total. So you would have to add 8 plus 2 plus 12 plus 8. And there were 30 students total. Again, cross products. 100 times 12 divided by 30 would give you the answer. Or you could type in the fraction 12 out of 30 and hit second percent. The correct answer was 40%. That's 40% of the students. Question 4. Lucy shaded 10 of the 16 squares below. I'm going to shade quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The question is what percent? So it's 10 out of the 16 squares is what percent? So this would be 10 times 100 divided by 16. I'm going to double check my math on that. Yeah, I see the answer. It is 62.5%. Or excuse me, 0.62. Oh, that's wrong. 62.5. Sorry about that, guys. Didn't see the correct answer. 10 out of 16. It's more than half of the squares, so you know that it's more than 50%. If it's more than half, more than 50%, you could rule out A, you could rule out B, and you could rule out C because they're all less than 50%. The next one requires you to know benchmark fractions. This is 100%, this is 0%. If you look at this fraction, it is 1, 2 out of, and the total you should count first, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 out of 6. And if you change that to a percent, that is 33%. B has 1 shaded out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total. 1 out of 5 is equal to 20%. With your calculators, you know how to change a fraction to a percent by typing it in and hitting second percent or change to a percent. Correct answer looks like it's B. I'm going to double check the other ones. This is 2 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which would be 40%. That's not going to be correct. And the last one is 1 out of 4, and 1/4 or 1/4 is 25%. So it's about benchmarks. You would not have to remember your benchmarks. I could count 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, but really you could have just changed 1/5 to 20%. Question 6. This is a gimme. What is the decimal equivalent to 2 3/5? So you type in 2 3/5 and you convert it second. Then you have to hit the fraction button again. And you would find that that's 2.6 because 3/5 is equal to 0.6. And 2 is still 2. So 2 3/5 is 2.6 as a decimal. Question 7. There are 240 students in the 6th grade. That's all the students. That's going to be the bottom number. Total students. Then it says 60%. Well, we know that 60% is 60 out of 100. So I've got the 60%. This is the portion, 60 out of 100 will be in athletics. And then the question is simple. What number of students will be in athletics? Well, we know that it's 60% of the 240 students. So again, you could use cross products to solve it. 60 times 240 divided by 100. And the correct answer is 144 students. That's more than half. Makes sense because it's more than half of 240 and 60 is more than 1/2 because 50% is 1/2. Question 9 was open-ended. It asks you to compare Eugene and Cody. They're discussing the results of recent basketball practice. That's a topic sentence, but there's no math. Eugene made 13 out of 20 free throws. So I'm going to put Eugene. 13 out of 20. And Cody made 57%. Now it asks you who completed a higher percentage. Well, before you can compare, you're going to have to change this fraction to a percent. You could hit second percent on your calculator, Or you could set up a proportion out of 100 and do 13 times 100 divided by 20. Eugene made 65%. Cody only made 57%. So the correct answer was Eugene, because 65% is greater than 57%. It's easy once you change them both to percents. Question 9. Wow, easy. Opposites. 8 and -8 are opposites. Did you see the word not? Does not represent opposites. 12 and 12? Those aren't opposites. Those are the same. How can they be opposites? -10 and 10 are opposites, and 2/3 and -2/3 are opposites. So 12 and 12 are actually the same number. That was easy. Hope you didn't miss it. Number 10. Which statement is true? The opposite of 9 is -9? Well, that looks true to me. The absolute value of -15 is 15? Well, that looks true too. Only negative numbers have an opposite. No, all numbers have an opposite. And then D says if a number is negative, then its absolute value is negative. That's not true. If a number is negative, its absolute value would be positive, because the absolute value of any negative number, you just take off the sign. I'm not interested whether it's positive or negative. I just want to see how far it is away from 0. I actually see 2 correct answers here. The opposite of 9 is -9, and the absolute value of -15 is 15. So I may have marked some wrong. I will give you credit on A and B. Looks like we made a mistake on this test. Number 11 was easy. Which of the following lists them from greatest to least? Did you notice that? Greatest to least. This is where annotating the question, highlighting the question, boxing keywords, greatest to least, instead of just doing at least to greatest every time. So the biggest number here looks like it's 2. Wow, I could rule out A, I can rule out C, I can rule out D. I just have to check B and make sure it's true. 2, then 0, then -3, then -5. So from greatest to least, just paying attention, it's already on the paper. The answer was B. Good luck. I hope this makes sense and you do a good job on your test corrections.